Hey there, it's Emma from Misfit Gardening, and in today's video I want to show you some really surprising seed saving tools that you might already have at home, so you don't have to go about spending tons of money to start saving your own seeds from the veggies and stuff that you've grown. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Great reasons why you want to save your seed. Number one, it's going to save you some money, and that's always good, right? Because seed that you've grown yourself has got some really great benefits, and the number one benefit that I've found is that it germinates so much better than anything that I can buy, even from an organic and heirloom supplier. Okay, the seed that I'm saving myself, I get a much better germination rate, and because I get a much better germination rate, I'm wasting less seeds, which means I've got more viable plants that I can actually get out into the garden. So that's a good reason. The other good reason for saving your seed is to increase biodiversity in your garden. You're going to be saving seeds to plants that have done well in your garden, and that means that those seeds are going to slowly, over time, as you keep saving the seed, they're going to really adapt to your local growing conditions. And that's really good, because if you have certain problems with different types of diseases, for example, you're more likely to be getting a strain that you're saving that's going to be resistant to those. So that's another good reason. But let's talk about some tools that you're going to need, and I'm going to talk about a couple of obvious ones first. So the first ones are, you're going to need some cutting tools, and I use, between scissors and pruning shears, I use both of them. I use the scissors for more delicate work, pruning shears for things that have got quite a tough stem, like brassicas. They get pretty woody, pretty hard, and you definitely need a pair of pruning shears for those. So definitely have the both if you're looking at doing a lot of seed saving. Decent pair of gloves. Now, I don't like using gloves when I'm gardening. I like to be able to feel what I'm doing, basically, but a decent pair of gloves has been really good, especially when you have a lot of seed that you're trying to winnow, or thresh. That's definitely like these brassica seeds, because they dry, they get hard, and you can get splinters in your hands, so make sure that you have some sturdy gloves. Next, make sure you get a couple of pens, okay? Have a couple of, permanent marker pens kicking about. You are going to need to label your seeds, because I can tell you right now, if you don't label them and you have like 3 or 4 different varieties of the same looking seed, you're not going to remember which ones they are. So get a couple of pens, keep them somewhere safe. Don't leave them in the greenhouse, because they'll dry out. Ask me how I know. But just keep them handy. I don't know if it's the same in your house, but every time I have permanent marker pens, I turn around and they've disappeared, like the borrowers steal them. So I keep mine somewhere hidden, somewhere secret, somewhere safe, like Sauron's ring, and I make sure that I know where they are, because when it gets to this time of year, I am using these things all the time. Now let's get into something that you might not have thought about for seed saving, and the first thing for me is a large trug. This is a 16-gallon trug, and the reason why I like to use this is because I can use this to thresh things into it. So for example, I've got a bit of this is some kale seed that's in here, and each one of these pots is full of seed, and you can probably hear it from the microphone there. And what you need to do is you need to get these seeds out. Now, there's a couple of things you can do. If you've got some gloves on, you can pull them apart and just kind of rub them between your fingers gently, and these pods will come off and then the seeds will fall out. Or you can take this and you can give it this little number, and shaking them around and really bashing them against the side, and what's going to happen is all the stuff's going to kind of fall off, but then, I don't know if you can see, we'll turn it around the other way, but the seeds are also in here at the very bottom. So this makes it a really easy way to be able to thresh out a lot of seed and kind of keep it contained, because what you can do is you can then gently rock it back and forth and tamp it down, and all of this light chaff basically, because it weighs less, is going to come up to the top of those seeds and your seeds are going to go to the bottom. So you can gently kind of pull off the chaff, which is, you know, all this extra plant matter that's, you know, from the seed pod, and you can pull out the seed that way. The other thing that I like to use a lot of, which really surprises some people, are sandwich bags. Just plain old brown paper sandwich bags or lunch bags, and these are fantastic for saving your seed in for a couple of reasons. Number one, they breathe. So I can have things that are kind of drying out in here that are a little bit damp. The next reason is I can write on them. I can put the variety on there, I can put the year. They also stand up. So I can do a bunch of these and stand them up, and they don't take anywhere near as much room as what like bits of paper towel and stuff do. So in here I've got some tatsoi, which was growing here in the greenhouse that I just saved. And there's a mixture in here because there is some of the chaff at the very bottom, which is some of this light coloured stuff, but there's also the seeds. So this is the first stage for me for seed saving, is I'm putting them in these sandwich bags and closing the top, and then I will put them somewhere cool and dry to dry out basically. At the minute some of the seeds are kind of wet, and if I try to winnow them, which is where I clear off that chaff, they're not going to come off very easy. I'm going to have like a lot of problems. I'm going to lose a lot of seed. So I like to dry things out a lot. And a good example of that is the dill that I'm currently drying. It's like, ooh, it smells like pickles. But you can see I've actually got the whole little plant in here, and these are all the seeds on the top here. And these are just kind of chilling out in here. They're just drying, they're just doing their thing, they're not hurting anybody. But it means that I know what's in here and I can keep tabs on it much better. So I love using sandwich bags. And the other great thing about these is I can actually pop them over a plant too. And I do this a lot with carrots, where I will just put this over the actual carrot plant, and I'm not going to do it today because it's raining outside, but I can help protect the seeds and keep them in here, because what happens with carrots is they tend to flop over and then the seeds fall off and kind of end up on the floor or anything else. So sandwich bags, they're cheap, you can get plenty of them for a couple of bucks, and it means that you can save, you know, bigger portions of seed. Now the other thing that I like to do, which is kind of crazy, I know, but paper grocery bags. So this is all kale seed in here, like there's loads of it, and I've just stuffed it into a brown paper grocery bag. I love brown paper grocery bags because you can use them as mulch, you can use them in the compost heap, and now you can use them for seed saving. So another reason why you can ditch the plastic. But if I shake this, the seeds that are already kind of gone to the bottom here, so, and you can kind of feel them, and what happens is as this kind of gets shaken around and moved about and stuff, the seeds are going to all drop to the bottom here, and I can just either open, like make a little hole in the bottom and pour them out, and I can do just what I did with the trug, and I can bash them to get the seeds out, and then I can pour the seeds into a brown paper bag when I'm finished. So they have it, a couple of really easy tools, probably a couple that you've never thought of to use in terms of growing seeds, but I want to know from you, what's your favorite seed saving tool, and what do you use all the time when you're trying to save seed from the garden? The other tool that you're going to need for seed saving is actually a mason jar, and this is to ferment some seeds. So things like tomatoes have a like gelatinous kind of coating on them, and for tomatoes in particular, they actually have a inhibiting enzyme in there that prevents them growing, because seeds like somewhere that's warm and somewhere that's moist, kind of like the inside of a tomato is warm and moist. So the plant itself actually produces these enzymes around the seed to prevent them from sprouting and germinating within the fruit itself. So you ferment tomatoes, cucumbers, melons. You can also ferment the seeds from summer squashes, winter squashes, you know, anything that's got like a very jelly outer coating on it. And all you do is you just pop the seeds into the jar, put some water on top of it to cover it, you know, maybe about 2/3 of the way, and let it kind of sit for 2 to 3 days. And what happens is the viable seeds, so that's the seeds that are going to grow, will all fall to the bottom, and the seeds that are not viable and all the other junk that's in there will go to the top. So all you need to do is just rinse them all off really well, and then let them dry on some paper towel, on a piece of paper or paper plate, something like that, and then you can pop them into some storage. So mason jars, super useful tool, especially for gardeners and homesteaders. So there you go, you don't need expensive tools to be able to save seed from your garden. And saving seed from your garden not only saves you money, it helps you be a little bit more sustainable in terms of how you're growing your own food. Your plants are going to be adapting to your local growing conditions, which means you're going to be getting much better germination rates than what you would get from a store-bought seed packet. And you're also going to have the opportunity to discover new varieties of things. So maybe it's a different type of flower that's got different colorings on it, or it's a different fruit or vegetable that looks slightly different or tastes better. You're going to get that opportunity to be able to try all of those things by seed saving, and it's really not as complicated as you might think, and you really only need some simple tools to get started. So if you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button and share it with your mates. I really appreciate that. And if you're new to this channel, don't miss out on videos. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you're not going to miss how to grow your own food and homestead in an urban area. Until next time, I'm Emma from Misfit Gardening, and I hope that your garden grows beautifully. See you later.